Hello and welcome to the Robbies Podcast, your destination for in-depth discussion and analysis of the Premier League. I'm Robbie Mustoe, he's Robbie, Earle, and here are today's topics. It's a bad week to be a Premier League manager after Thomas Frank and Sean Dyche get the sack from Spurs and Nottingham Forest. The gap in the title race door is left ajar as Arsenal's draw at Brentford leaves Man City only 4 points behind in the title race, and the race for the Champions League positions heats up after both Chelsea and Manchester United drop points and Liverpool pick up a win at Sunderland. That's what we have coming up in today's episode.
Honestly, mate, can you believe this Premier League? We leave it for one midweek.
2 days.
Managers gone. Yeah. Things tighten up. Plenty of stories. I suppose we have to start at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Tottenham Hotspur 1, Newcastle 2. Another home defeat for Spurs. More booing at the end of the game. Yeah. And on this occasion, it proved too much. Thomas Frank lost his job, was sacked after not a particularly great time. I think it's 2 wins in his 17 Premier League games. 5 points above West Ham in relegation.
Yeah.
A shock, Rob, really? Or not so?
No, I mean, we talk so much about firings and that, Rob. This is one that it absolutely was there. Not many people are going to complain. The only mitigation, I suppose, he can throw at this is they've done pretty well in the Champions League, but I could list the teams they played in the Champions League, Rob, and it's not particularly impressive. And of course, all the injuries, ton of injuries. And by the way, whilst they look for a new manager, they got to have a deep look at their sports science department. I'm pretty sure that's 3 years now, Rob, where they've had a crazy amount of injuries. We all talked about it last year under Ange Postecoglou, and was it his training, his style? These injuries have continued, and of course, I get there's different types and knocks and ones that maybe aren't muscle related, but the amount of injuries that football club gets, given the facilities, Rob, we've been to that training ground. It is an incredible. It's got to be one of the best in the world.
Yeah, absolutely. So if those players were fit, Rob, would it give you a better indication? Would it give Thomas Frank a better chance, or can I go down this route that I've been reading? And again, I'm unsure of the answer, but if Thomas Frank is a good to excellent mid-level manager, a Brentford manager, are those skills instantly transferable to a Big Six team? So at Brentford, where I don't have to have possession, where I can maybe have turnovers, where I might play a Wheaton and Bumo and Ivan Toney and go long over the top, and win enough games in that position to stay well in the league, be maybe mid-table to 9th, 8th, even 7th. But that's me as a manager. But when I go to a Big Six club, Rob, and I've got to dominate possession, and I've got 60,000 people in that beautiful stadium who want to see some football as well as winning games, do those things go together?
Yeah, I think that's a fair argument about his managerial kind of record up to this point. Brentford was, as you described. I mean, even to the game yesterday, Rob, I watched the game against Newcastle United. You've never seen anything so chaotic in all your life. And you can talk about injuries, but still, we know all those players. And maybe with the injuries they've got right now, they might be forgiven to be, I don't know, mid-table, around 10th, maybe, but not where they are at the moment. And the style of play, again, we said, by the way, I'm sure I talked about this kind of unidentifiable kind of approach months ago. And it's the same in the game. I don't know what... There's no kind of style, there's no pattern. You can't see players kind of switching over or interchanging, or fullbacks doing certain things, or midfield. It's just chaotic, and that's not going to cut it. I mean, I would say there's been a series. If you think about it, Rob, I just made a few kind of notes of the situations that's led to this. I mean, you remember that kind of early on when the players, I think it was Chelsea, when they lost to Chelsea, and they ignored Thomas Frank when they came on.
Yeah, they're not shaped. Mickey van der Ven. Pedro Porro, Jed Spence, turn their back
on him, and then he had to go. He had to go at the supporters for when they booed Vicario, remember the goalkeeper?
When he made the mistake, didn't he, against Fulham?
Yeah, I mean to the more stupid one or silly really, with holding an Arsenal cup. the booing at end of games. I mean, you could go the fallouts with players, Rob, that went to the fans, and I mean, this has been a horrible.
Even the Christian Romero, Rob, where you don't put him out there to dry a little bit when he's made a bad error, and listen, it's cost you your job in the end, because Romero could be a difference maker defensively. It almost seemed to me, Rob, and it's interesting that you say that booing became a part of Thomas Frank's kind of tenure. Yeah. Booing players, booing the performance, booing this, booing that. It was like, for some reason, he never quite... The thing that he had at Brentford, where, he's seen as a great guy, he seemed to get on with his players, he had a real connection with the fans, it just never seemed to happen at Tottenham.
I mean, I do think Spurs fans are pretty tough to satisfy. And I don't know what the expectations are. I'll tell you what was interesting, Rob. I did see an interview. Ange Postecoglou was on one of the UK podcasts.
Yeah, he was on the Overlap, wasn't he?
He's on the Overlap. That's it. Gary Neville. Yeah, that's it. And the bits I saw clipped off were like, the expectation levels. And I wanted after his fifth place finish, you wanted to crack on and sign certain players. And it was like, well, our wages and their wages. Yeah. I mean, I get that. I would say, Rob, I mean, Arsenal found this after a new stadium. And can you understand, Rob, that when you've built a magnificent new stadium, there's got to be a few years of being a little bit more frugal, given that expenditure.
Agreed.
Has he got a little argument there?
Agree. I mean, he also basically said in that interview, and it was one of the headlines that, again, you pick up, that Spurs are not really a big six team. He kind of went down that route a little bit, Rob, like in terms of spending and what they're doing. I think he said they bought in 2 or 3 teenagers and he got one of the target players that he was after. But he wanted, and again, listen, maybe this is just Ange having his pop because it's the first time he's become public. There's enough quality there, Rob, to have a lot better showing of what we've seen than what we have. So it would seem to me the right manager hasn't knitted what this team has got now. Are they ready to win a title? No. Are they ready to challenge for a top 6 spot? Yes.
But they're in a relegation fight, my friend, aren't they?
Right now they are.
They're literally in a relegation fight, and in terms of the next guy to come in, I mean, I know they're probably going to go for an interim because I think the feeling is that at the end of the season there'll be a lot more coaches available. Yeah, I'm sure they'd love some of the bigger names. I mean, by the way, there's going to be a lot. There'll be a lot available after the World Cup. Pochettino, my friend. I think we can kind of say mostly that returning managers doesn't really go very well. I think Mourinho at Chelsea was maybe an exception. His second time, but it rarely works. Of the bigger names, what are you thinking? But I think up to this point, I think it's going to be amazing to see the next guy come in right now. It looks like it will be an interim.
Yeah, it looks like an interim.
Yeah. What are you thinking, Rob, about that?
So the 3 I'm hearing, the De Zerbi, the fiery De Zerbi, who's now left Marseille, by the way, who doesn't last very long and usually doesn't end well. A bit of Mourinho-esque in the way it finishes. There's Poch, obviously, the US national team manager, who's obviously going to do his best for a World Cup with this group. But you sense maybe that will be the end of his tenure then. And then Andoni Iraola seems to get a mention, Rob. That I like.
Well, and I like all the 3.
Iraola might be seen as a bit more of a Frank, although I think he has a bigger imprint in the football he wants to play and how he wants to play it. I think, their form has dipped a little bit, but I think players look like they enjoy playing for him. Players get better playing for him. He kind of fits the mould of Pochettino before Southampton. Remember when Poch was at Southampton and doing a decent job, and it was like, okay, let's give him the next step. He feels the closest fit to that for me.
Yeah.
And for that reason, I would probably go for him.
Well, it looks like they've got a verbal agreement with Igor Tudor, former Juventus coach, isn't it?
That's right, yeah.
To be an interim.
Finished eighth with Juventus. Not great
It didn't last very long.
No, didn't last long. But, you know, the sort of guy who might just take the reins. What would the North London Derby be his first game, wouldn't it? February 22nd.
Yeah, pretty sure this is not agreed yet. All I would say is this little decision is massive to keep this team in the league. It's absolutely massive. If the board is Johan Lang, and I think they've just appointed another sporting director of whatever. There's so many different moving parts of Spurs, and to maybe behind the scenes and in the boardroom and the directorships and all that stuff's all getting changed and moved around a little bit. But this decision as the interim is huge to get this ship somehow, you know, on a stable footing to avoid relegation. On the bigger picture, I can give you somebody they probably ain't going to be able to get, and ones that maybe the Spurs fans will turn their nose up. You know, it's hard finding the flipping Goldilocks perfect scenario. So I'm sure he wouldn't get him, but Xabi Alonso would be dreamlike for Tottenham. But again, given you know what he did at a club that's kind of not one of the biggest ones in Germany, and Spurs, young players, a style of play. But I mean, I can't imagine. I can't imagine he's going to come to Spurs, but you never know in the summer.
Yeah.
And then back on your thought, Rob, the ones in the Premier League now that have kind of proven themselves, one more than others, the ones that are out of contract. Marco Silva, Rob's got good experience. He's been around the block a little bit. Again, I think the style of football is really good. It's expansive. We've seen that with Fulham.
So you'd see a difference between Marco Silva and Thomas Frank?
I would. Absolutely. I would.
More defined football from
more
Silva.
Defined football. He's a fierce. I think he's a fierce competitor. He's got experience. I think he can handle the bigger players. So Marcus Silva would be in my reckoning. And Oliver Glasner, Rob. I mean, you know, that's the three, isn't it? With your Earle, the three that are out of contract. Oliver Glasner. You know, there's a lot of people that really rate him very highly, and I do too. So there would be two. But would the Spurs fans, Rob, be happy with ones again like Thomas Frank that's coming from a middling, a smaller club, making the step up, or is it going to be the? I mean, Xabi Alonso. I mean, what? It looks like the biggest ones are going to be after him, and But maybe if those jobs aren't available for Alonso,
I mean, without it being rude to Spurs, it's a great stepping stone for him to go back to another big one, top one.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's rumours
does a good job at Spurs.
Yeah. I think there's some bigger clubs that might want him. But if he's still available in the summer, my goodness, I'd try and get him.
I think the question, Rob, comes down, and you've mentioned about sporting directors, and there's a lot of change at the football club. Daniel Levy's left. Do we trust the people in charge? do we know that they'll kind of make what we feel is the right decisions to get the right guy? Because it's been a mess, Rob, so far. It's been a mess for a lot of times now.
Well, Daniel Levy is still blamed for the current malaise at Tottenham. And when you say, do we trust them? We don't know yet. They haven't made many decisions, have they? I mean, this is the first kind of test of the new, I don't know, the new people's in position, directors and stuff, to make the right calls and decisions. All I would say, Rob, and on a more positive note for Tottenham, right, is that stadium at 62,000 people, and the way it can generate revenue from different activities, different sports, the NFL coming over, and et cetera, it's a London club. It's a big London club. There's no reason when maybe the stadium's a bit more paid off, there's more they're going to generate a lot of revenue, this club. This stadium's going to generate a lot of revenue. You know, they've got to obviously stay in the Premier League and maybe get back into European football. But what I'm saying is the longer term, there's no reason why this club can't really challenge because it's revenue. And we know that it's all about revenues. It's a big London club.
Big London club.
And their stadium is optimized for revenue.
I got the answer. Sign Beyonce as a striker and then let her do concerts. She can do, but we can earn revenues on both. Listen, even Harry Redknapp was saying, if they need me this week, I'm available. Harry Redknapp. So that's what, as we always say. There's always a story with Spurs, but as you say, entering a really important time between now and the end of the season to get it right, to make sure they're in the league, and then give themselves a chance of getting the right man come the summer, maybe after the World Cup. Let's move it to the City ground, my friend. where Wolverhampton won as Nottingham Forest. They're playing out a 0-0 draw. So Nottingham Forest have 35 shots, I believe, in the game, Robert, an XG of 2.8. Yeah. Still couldn't score a goal. A draw with Wolves, obviously, the poorest teams in the league. That's destined for Championship football now. And I'm afraid, after, a period in shorts, Sean Dyche becomes the third manager in a season to be sacked by Nottingham Forest in their owner, Mr. Marinakis. Not taking any time to pull the trigger, mate. He's looking for his fourth manager of the season. And all the news we're hearing is Vitor Pereira, our friend from Wolves, is going to get the rest of this season. I mean, the fourth manager of the season. I mean, incredible scenes. Let's start with Sean Dyche first, the outgoing manager, who I never felt just quite... It always felt Sean Dyche was a little bit on the outside at Forest. I never quite felt he was appreciated that much by fans. He started to get the defensive side right.
Yeah, the results were good early, weren't they, Rob? The results were good early.
Yeah, and we thought, okay, here goes Dyche again. But it never seemed to kick on, Rob, from there. And again, a little bit of unrest, a little bit of lack of maybe what Forest fans are hoping to see. When you think what Nuno had done, I think 7th place finish, European football. This should have been a season to enjoy for Nottingham Forest, and it's become a very, very difficult season.
Yeah, I mean, Sean Dyche is. I mean, by the way, I watched the game, or the second half of it, and most of the first half, and the amount of chances they had, it was incessant attacking, and they just couldn't score. You know, they had some brilliant opportunities, and it felt like a matter of time before they were going to win the game. Obviously, they didn't. 0-0. You get the booing, and I think I said to you last pod, Rob. Or we chatted about it.
You did mention he won't wait too long.
Sure, if they don't beat them, Wolves, he could go. But it still was a little bit like, oh God, he has gone. Like this is. I mean, that's. It's hard to define Sean Dyche on this kind of tenure at Nottingham Forest, but you know, even at Burnley, of course, he did really well to keep them up the league, but they kind of gradually got worse over the time. Yeah. And towards the end there, when he left, they was kind of drifting again. I mean,
similar to Everton, wasn't it? Similar to Everton when David Moyes went in and refreshed the whole club to a certain degree.
Exactly right. And they started winning the game from nowhere, Rob. From the same group. So, gosh, what a quick exit that is. Vitor Pereira will bring energy, and he'll bring his because the energy that was totally gone. By the way, at the time he left at Wolves, he was absolutely like different human being. But I'm sure he's recharged the batteries. And Forest are in danger. I mean, it's going to be an amazing race against relegation, and it could be a bigger number this year, Rob. I know we talked about 36 points. I think it was. I think I said 36 has been safe the last 8 seasons.
Has been safe about 3-4 seasons.
I think it's more. It's 8 because I went back and checked it. So when you got West Ham finding form, you got Forest, you got Spurs, you got the ones down there. West Ham is going to be the key. I still think West Ham they've got to do most of all, haven't they, to get out of it? Yeah. But it's going to be a great race. But Sean Dyche's no longer going to be in it. I mean, Sean Dyche, Rob, at the time was like, that's a safe pair of hands.
He'd be the guy you'd go to now, Rob, wouldn't you? If you were in problems now, if Sean Dyche if he was out of work though, he'd be the kind of guy you'd go, Sean Dyche will keep us up.
Well, that's what's just happened to Forest, and look how it's ended up. Is that by the way, you know, without being too cruel about it, because of what's happened here and that kind of opinion you might have of Sean Dyche, he's the guy to keep you up. Are we going to see him in the Premier League, Rob, for quite a while?
I think those people have a time and a body of work, and then it was a bit like Tony Pulis, it was a bit like Sam Allardyce, and then 2 or 3 occasions where it hasn't worked, the football wasn't going, they don't keep you up. It's almost like, okay, we need to go in a different direction.
So that might be the case.
It's going to be interesting with Sean Dyche. I almost feel like Sean Dyche might have to bring a championship team up to maybe get back in the Premier League. But listen, Vitor Pereira is going to bring some personalities, he's going to bring some character. What did he say? First points to them pints. He goes down the pub. I think the Forest fans will enjoy his personality, Rob. He'll bring a little something to it. But they've got a bit of work on it as well. Nottingham Forest. I remember seeing Nottingham Forest. I think it was with John Champion was in. I think it was me and Tim in the studio, mate. It was Leeds beat Nottingham Forest. I think it was 3-1 a couple of weeks ago. And I said to John Champion, body language of a few Forest players is really off, John. There was Gibbs White, there was two others at the back, might be Aina or someone. Just they didn't look at a good chemistry between the group, and I just thought, that's not good. That's not good for the position they're in, and looks like it's going to be a difficult one. But Vitor Pereira gives us plenty of headlines.
He did good work. He did good, Rob, didn't he? He did really well when he first went.
I remember he went in, weren't they? They were bottom 3, 9 points from possible 48 when he went in, and by April they were 12 points clear, mate. An incredible run. So, Forest will be hoping he can go into their football club and do the same and get them out of trouble. But listen, he's an owner, Monacus, he puts his money in, Rob. He as he say, but he ain't afraid, whether rightly or wrongly, he ain't afraid to make big decisions and quickly decisions.
Yeah, I don't know how the fans feel about it. This feels chaotic, crazy. But let's see if Pereira gets him out of it. I mean, I still look back at Nuno Espirito Santo. The first manager right at the beginning of the season. And of course, there's a big fallout and he ended up leaving and he might now chase him down. West Ham United, Rob, are 3 points behind Nottingham Forest at the bottom of the table. Yeah. That would be quite the story if the guy that fell out with Marinakis and everybody at Forest ends up relegating down. That would be crazy. Can we change the chat, mate? Can we go back to let's go to the top of the league, can we? Let's go to the top of the league.
Let's talk about top of the league. Where do you want to start with? Do you want to start with the leaders?
Let's start with
Brentford. Leaders going to Brentford. I think we all realised this was going to be a difficult day. A Brentford team that's in a really good groove with Keith Andrews, done an incredible job at this football club. So we know Arsenal were going across to West London. It was an Arsenal team that missed a couple of players. Probably they would obviously the likes of Saliba wasn't available. Havertz not fit.
Saka on the bench.
Saka on the bench. It was a slightly different looking team. I think most people thought that Arsenal would get the job done, but in the end, they became undone by maybe Arsenal-esque. A long throw comes in, Lewis Potter was ahead of after Madueke scored. They had to be content with the draw, Rob, that in some respects isn't a bad result against Brentford, how Brentford are playing right now, but it's a disappointment. And his points dropped again for the Gunners on a night when I didn't think their football was that good. I mean, again, I thought they did reasonably well at the weekend, and I wasn't over-impressed, but this wasn't a good look for Arsenal. As a half-time came off and Odegaard comes on for him, a lot of things didn't quite work in the manner that Mikel Arteta would have wanted.
It really didn't. And if you want a game that highlights where Arsenal are deficient, and by the way, we are going to talk Brentford. Yeah, they were incredible in the match. But let's first start with Arsenal. This was the game. There's a continued and consistent lack. I say lack because we've seen it, but when you want to be Premier League champions, you need it nearly every week of creative quality. Creative quality. A front line of Gyökeres, Madueke, and Trossard and Eze. They're creative players. And throughout the game, Rob, it was a struggle for them to create anything. At the end of the first half, it's 0-0. I checked at their XG, it was 0.12. They don't look like creating too much. On the other side of that, which we'll talk about Man City, they've got a ton of creativity. They look like scoring so much when they get in the final third, but defensively, very poor. It's different with Arsenal. And this is what, if they don't win the title, it's going to be because of this, because they get too many draws. They don't put teams away. When you watch Arsenal, Rob, it's like, and you know, I'm kind of rooting for them a little bit because I don't know, they've been second, they've been close so many times. You feel like with the business that they've done, go on then, go and do it. And when you watch Arsenal, when I watch it, it's like, are they going to score? Are they going to create too much? You're like, it's a struggle to score. In certain games, of course, there's been many where they have, but it's like when you really need the creativity and to somebody to do something special. And it got me to thinking, Robbie Earle, star quality, and I'm talking about Premier League champion star quality, and I would say Arsenal haven't got the superstar forward that so many champions have in the past. even with previous Arsenal teams, Thierry Henry, a Dennis Bergkamp, a Van Persie. You go to different teams like Man City, De Bruyne, Haaland, David Silva, Liverpool with Mo Salah, Chelsea with your Lampards, your Drogba's, maybe your Hazards. And Saka's the closest thing to that.
Yeah, you would say Saka probably.
What do you think? Does it? I mean,
I've heard this argument. Somebody else posts something similar a little while ago. I heard similar comment like that one guy, that star guy. Now, I think what we know with Arsenal is they haven't got that star forward, but we're kind of saying that goals come from other areas, Rob. They may be doing it a different way. Defensively, probably becomes a bigger thing with Arsenal than the attacking man. They've probably got star defenders. Gabriel and Saliba, probably the best centre-back pairing in the league. So it feels like the star bit more comes from the defending, only 14 goals conceded.
But champions, Rob, need a star attacker, don't they?
Mostly. I don't disagree. And it's not a bad point. Somebody who enjoys that day when everybody else is struggling. And as you say, an Henry, a Mo Salah, Aguero maybe has done it in the past. One of those type of guys. But yeah, it's an interesting argument. And part of why for Arsenal, they've got to have all the other parts doing well. So the Odegaards, the Sakas, the Martinellis, and all that. Declan Rice have all got to be doing their thing because they lack a little bit of that individual star quality, which in a way I think we thought Gyökeres might fill that gap a bit. And it hasn't at the moment proved out to be that way. Listen, they're still 4 points clear, Rob, still in the best position. But all of a sudden, there's a shadow. And all of a sudden, I mean, I thought at Sunderland again. I know they won and I know it was reasonably comfortable in the end, but I wasn't over-impressed with them. And that's what I sort of said at the weekend. I didn't over-like them against the Sunderland team. End of the day, just come up. And I thought it carried on again. And all of a sudden, we're down to a huge game coming in April, mate. And we'll talk about the team chasing them, but there's a huge game that's going to come along that may have a big decider on where this title ends up.
Yeah, we'll chat them in a second. I did want to give Brentford, Rob.
A bit of love.
I mean, there was nothing in these two teams for long periods, right? Nothing in it. Arsenal had a bit of a period in the second half. Brentford finished stronger, looked like they were going to win the game. Yeah. It talk about every player, there's no passengers in every department. They're well organised, Rob. There was times when they pressed Arsenal. I think it was surprised. It was, of course, the long throw-in. They've got a mix of everything right now. Continue to be impressed with Keith Andrews, who spoke so well afterwards about developing the squad, and we're hungry. Yeah. It's kind of a young team as well. A lot of young players up there, a few older ones, Henderson and a couple of others. Rico Henry, Rob, deserves a mention, the left full-back against Madueke. By the way, Madueke's got a great header. What a good header.
That was a good header, yeah.
But in general, Rico Henry did a really good job. I mean, it was a huge performance from Brentford Football Club. And I was astonished really at how, with all the changes, we know about the big lad up front, Igor Thiago, they probably had more chances. I think I look back at the header, over the game. Made a good save in the first half for him. And they were excellent, absolutely excellent, Brentford. So deserve all the credit. And wow, what an example that is of a club, Rob, that can lose 4 key individuals and still end up being better. Amazing.
When we're talking about Spurs and their setup and the build-up of the football club, they could use Brentford as an example, mate, in terms of staff, of recruitment, of directors of football, and plugging in the right manager, good young Keith Andrews, who, by the way, Rob, if he continues to do what he's doing over the next couple of years, there's going to be people looking at this young man. There's going to be people looking at him, mate. He's done an incredible job. Yeah. Let's turn it to the other team then in the title, right? Manchester City. Pretty routine. Semenyo continuing to get goals. Nico O'Reilly and Haaland, 3 goals in the first half, enough to win the game. I think it's 20 straight defeats or something, straight victories against a Fulham team now, some crazy record like that. But City continue to chase, Rob. City won't go away. And if you're Arsenal, does muscle memory start to come in? Like, do you keep looking in that mirror and thinking, oh, God, here they come again?
Maybe, because they're coming and they're getting healthy. And Ruben Diaz started the game, Rob, alongside Mark Gahey. Phil Foden started the game instead of Shirky. you've still got some amazing footballers at the club. Nico Riley's such a versatile player, does a really good job in midfield. They're winning games again very easily. Now, again, we've always said about them that I remember we said a few weeks ago, Rob, that the defensive side of things, if they fix that, then they could go on an incredible run. And I feel like Diaz is so important to that. I mean, Vardiol is an important player that's not back yet.
Yeah, Stones is close, isn't he now?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be relying much on John Stones, but Diaz and Guéhi, two central defenders. You got an outstanding goalkeeper. You got a striker that's back on the score sheet. They win games easily. Phil Foden maybe has something to prove. Rob's been out the team for a lot with Ryan Shirky on the right side.
I suppose the question is, Rob, and I'm still not sure that City are that City team who can go from here on 12 in, let's say, and win them all out. I still feel there's a careless kind of turnover nature to them when they lose possession that they can be got at. And I think if I'm Arsenal, that would give me a little bit more.
Well, that's the only thing, Rob, isn't it? That's the only thing. And that's what's let them down to this point. They got tons of attacking players. And Antoine Semenyo, Rob, looks the part. He's gone straight in there and looks the part. So when you look at that team in terms of talent and creativity and thrust in the final third with what they've got, that's scary. The defensive side of things is what Man City will let it slip. And Guéhi, Semenyo, I don't know. It will be quite the clawback. It's close now. You talked about having to host Arsenal, I believe, Rob, isn't it? That's the game, isn't it?
Yeah. Is it not April? Is it the 18th, 19th? I think it's when we got FanFest at the Tampa. It's that day.
It's a
huge weekend, isn't it?
But they look good, mate. The winning games easily again. Scary for everybody else.
It's a little scary, and we know that Arsenal will feel it, mate. They'll feel a bit of heat on the neck if Man City are chasing you. Let's go to the top end of the table, mate. The race for Champions League spots, including Manchester United, Chelsea, and Liverpool. Manchester United get their sort of first draw under Michael Carrick, 3 wins and 4 wins and 1 draw for the new Manchester United manager. Chelsea drew 2-2 with Leeds and been 2-0 up. Leeds continue to show a little bit of spirit and fight. And Sunderland 0, Liverpool 1. Liverpool the first team to beat Sunderland at the Stadium of Light. Let's start at the London Stadium. West Ham 1, Manchester United 1. Souček with the goal for West Ham. It's kind of, how important has he been over the years, mate? Everybody keeps telling you what he can't do in both boxes. I always think this guy has an effect. And then Šeško coming with a late equaliser for Manchester United is starting to have his value to Michael Carrick's team.
Yeah, I think so. He seems to be, feeling much more comfortable, looks a real threat. I think we've seen good moments from him since the managerial change. Certainly getting more service from more players that are in attacking areas now, given the system change and 1 less defender, 1 more midfield player. So that's good news for him. West Ham United, Rob, they've got to keep it going now. They've got some momentum. We know they've upgraded in different areas in the window. They're in touch and distance.
Disasi played, didn't he? I thought it brings a little bit more.
I think he's going to be better than
purpose and better, stronger, a bit more concentration, just a step up.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, they have to keep it going. And when I look at the league table, Rob, and after being down there, 3 points is still quite a lot. When you're fighting down there. If this momentum drops off West Ham, and this is a good result, by the way, isn't it? I mean, they're so close. Yeah. Close to winning the game and get another, 3 points. So the fans will feel encouraged, and I think we all know that stadium can get pretty noisy when it's going well. The fans are behind them, and they like what they're seeing. Nuno has figured things out in the markets and within the squad, and got rid of players that didn't really want to be there. So it's going to be a fascinating race, yeah. And Man United, not going to win every game, are they?
No.
So
I liked him after the game, Rob. Let's do to him after. Just we weren't at our best. We got the result. He's very level, isn't he? He's got a nice manner about him. Yeah,
it's very level. I mean, he's quiet, isn't he? He's almost introverted type of guy, a quiet thinker, like Steve Holland is, his assistant that he brought in.
Yeah.
And they'll make their case, I suppose. They'll quietly make their case with results, performances. And see if they might get a shot at the job when it comes up in the summer. But results will have to be really, really great to do that. I mean, we're talking now about the section of the podcast where the Champions League spots. This is a race, man. This is a great race that we've got now, and some big old clubs. Man United, Chelsea, Liverpool. It looks like, one of those might miss out. It's real close. And it's all about momentum, isn't it? And you could probably argue that all three have got a little bit of momentum right now. So it's a fun race to watch, to see who's going to be in around the 4th, 5th, and 6th. Because Aston Villa, with another victory for them, puts them a little bit of breathing space. So I think they're gonna make it, Aston Villa. But the other three that we're just talking about is going to be tight. But no, fair play.
To make it of Chelsea, Chelsea got 2-0, Pedro and Palmer. Mecha getting the penalty, and Okafor brings Leeds back into it, and then we had that 90-minute myth from Cole Palmer as the balls come across. I suppose to get 2-0 up, to have the chance, Chelsea got me slightly disappointing, hasn't he?
Well, it was a shocker, Rob. It was. It was defensively. I mean, I had never seen a game of football ever that. What I did with this game, I taped this game, Rob, right? I taped it because a lot of games going on, because I thought it was important to watch Chelsea. And I did see the result before I watched the game, right?
Yeah.
And I'm sat through there, I think it's probably about an hour or something, or I'm thinking they're 2-0 up. I'm like, how have they not won it? There was so much better, so dominant. We know he's 1,000 passes a minute, is Liam Rosenior. And they got the goals. So I'm like, how did they not win this? Then the goals come within a quick, short session. I mean, mistakes, horrific kind of. It was a bad challenge from Caicedo, Rob, for the penalty.
He can't controlling himself, innit?
Can't control himself in key moments. And then a mess up between goalkeeper and defenders. And all of a sudden it's 2-2. And then, of course, Leeds have got something to hold on to. So it was, and then the Cole Palmer miss from 2 yards was amazing. I mean, it's like, it bounced up a little bit. One of them where you got to kind of control it a little bit. It's harder to miss. It's harder to miss there than to score. Some of those problems remain the problems under Maresca we've seen, and poor defensive errors, lack of personal, the Caicedo thing, the defensive mix up. The better teams, that doesn't happen to. That doesn't really happen to Arsenal. Well, maybe. I think it did, Robbie, 2 or 3 years ago. We said about Arsenal being a young team and they make mistakes. But they grow to mature and to learn and to be where they are right now. And I think that will be the hope for Chelsea, Rob, because you're absolutely right. I mean, this is inexperienced, a little immature. It's crazy to think they didn't win that game with the dominance and the power that they had. But this is happening a lot now. And if this,
I was going to say, there has to be a time, Rob, when we say, okay, we can't keep on saying they're a young team, they're immature. They're a team who've played in Europe, who've won the World Club Championship. We're 18 months, coming to 2 years into the thing now. We've got to get better. We've got to not give cheap goals away. You get yourself 2-0 up at home with that quality of football and that quality of player. Shouldn't be letting the opposition in as easy as they did.
Yeah, and their squad, Rob. The manager. I think what I like about Rosenior that he when things need to change, he changes pretty quickly. He's got set ways to upgrade the team, to make it more attacking, to turn up that attacking dial that I talk about all the time. They just got frustrated, couldn't manage it, and the Palmer thing over the top. But you're right. I mean, Liam Rosenior seems to me that he addresses the problem pretty quickly. And we'll see. This is something now that he's seen a few times, I believe, where the results haven't come because of really avoidable situations on the field and the way that the team's played. So that's his next job. And, I still like it. That's why I want to make sure I see the game, because I really enjoy what he's doing. And there's still pockets of media out there that is like, what is this? How is this guy in charge of Chelsea? And there'll always be that little bit, I suppose, given his record to this point. But we spoke to him, we interviewed him. I think I've watched every single game that he's been there because I find it fascinating what he's trying to do, and it continues. But that's that was a frustrating day when they were so much better than Leeds United.
Absolutely. And we go to Stadium of Light. Sunderland 0, Liverpool 1. Liverpool got back on track. Van Dijk goal. Courtesy of a slight deflection off the defender who's on the line. But Liverpool becoming the first team to beat Sunderland this season at Stadium of Light, which is no easy task the way that they've been set up and they've been playing. And just keeps Liverpool ticking on, at the top end of the table chart as one of those Champions League spots. That's them in 6th position now. As you say, it's a bit of a race going on. Yeah. 2 points behind Chelsea, 3 points behind Manchester United at the moment. Find themselves, 8 points again behind Aston Villa. So there's still a bit of work for Liverpool to do, mate.
Yeah, I tell you what, though, Rob, I feel like there's a bit more motivation coming from Liverpool, the team. Or I see a little bit more sprinting, a little bit more zip in their play. McAllister, by the way, I'm like, oh, there you are. There he is again. Had a good game. Had a good game, was really aggressive without the ball, won the ball back plenty, got on the ball a lot. I thought that was very, very good. I mean, Arneslot did say this week, Rob, that not finishing this in the Champions League spots is unacceptable for Liverpool this season.
Yeah, for Liverpool.
So whether they've had a bit of a rallying call, like, come on, we got to push on now. Florian Wirtz continues to be more involved, more dangerous. Endo played at right back and sadly was stretched off. They got such problems at right back.
Right back,
so many injuries there. And the other player, Rob, Mo Salah. Mo Salah. Shadow.
It's not quite happened, has it? No, since he's come back.
It's like he doesn't. Body language isn't great. I mean, he's going up and down that wing to try and help the shape and defensive side of things. But his quality, his little zippy nature, is just not there. And it's. It may not be long before he has to sit again on the bench, and then what happens then? So. That will be.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a big summer, don't you? I just think this summer will be a time when I think both parties may just sit down and what's gone on in the past, whether that's had an effect or not. Obviously, going away with AFCON, falling out with the manager. As you say, that little zip, the bit you just said, where Arsenal haven't got that start, not quite been. The game almost looks like they're playing. Not to his strength, but to other people's strength, because he's not delivering at the moment.
Yeah, different players are. I mean, Florian Wirtz is lively, he floats around, and he's starting to be in little pockets, really in good areas. And it wasn't pretty at the end, Rob, for Liverpool. No, they kind of hang in there. Sunderland are a tough. That's why I was more impressed with Arsenal last time when they because Sunderland are a good side and they're a tough side. But that's a good 3 points there, and maybe now that's like I said, like I think this point in the season. You kind of right. You can see the finish line here. We got to have a bit of a rally up here. We need to finish in those spots. Liverpool look to me like they've just up to a gear, if you like, and we're better for the most part. Yeah, great 3 points for them.
Yeah, but it's going to be interesting chase for those top 5 spots. It looks like now for 4. With big clubs involved, the likes of United, Chelsea, and Liverpool. Let's go to a few remaining results, mate. Things continue to be difficult for Crystal Palace and Oliver Glasner. Crystal Palace get themselves a couple of goals up to their new signing, Strand Larsen, with the 2 early goals. And then Burnley come back with Hannibal, Anthony and Lerma, an own goal, all scored. So 5 goals coming before half time.
That's crazy as well.
And nobody else able to get on the second half. So 3 points for Burnley that keeps their hopes alive down, getting marooned at the bottom of the table. You've talked about Aston Villa. Aston Villa 1, Brighton 0. Hinchelwood with the own goal, 86 minutes on the clock. It was Mings with the header, I think, came off Hinchelwood as the ball goes into the back of the net. So big 3 points for Unai Emery and his team. And then Everton 1, Bournemouth 2. Everton go ahead to the Ndiaye goal. And then Ryan. We've seen this young kid, the Brazilian, who's had an effect, and Adley comes on. Everton had the red card with O'Brien just almost 70 minutes on the clock, but a little disappointing for Everton. Haven't got themselves up, but Bournemouth continue to play the football and get results as they will under Earle.
Yeah, I mean, for Everton, Rob, with David Moyes saying that they should be targeting European spots, and I know it's not an easy challenge. This is obviously a bit of a blow for them. Because I think they were in a spot where they felt they could push on and maybe get into European positions. So this is a blow for them, but they've still got time to recover and maybe hit those spots.
Yeah, Bournemouth, as we know, with Earle, continue to play good football, continue to score goals. This young kid, Ryan, looks another one, Rob, from their recruitment. They go all over the world. They find these players and they come in the Premier League and do the job. Listen, mate, we've had a dramatic double week in this midweek fixtures. When you think the 2 at the top are now just separated from 4 points, And we've had two managers who've lost their jobs as we head into the business end of the season. We're going to be back on February the 22nd. That's Matchweek 27. And there's a little matter of a North London derby, an important North London derby. Spurs with a new manager, Arsenal desperately needed the points. So we get a break this weekend with FA Cup fourth round games. But for now, I'm Earle, he's Mustoe, together with the two Robbies. Thanks for watching and listening. Be safe, stay healthy. It's good night from me.
And it's good night from him. Good night.
Good night.
Hi there, I'm Rebecca Lowe, studio host of NBC's coverage of the Premier League. Don't forget to hit subscribe to watch more videos all season long. And for even more Premier League content, from original series to live matches, head over to Peacock.